I have another scandal. This one involves the Second Amendment. During the Obama administration, the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, came up with a new proposed rule that would reclassify ammo that would effectively ban certain types of AR-15 ammunition. So they decided that a good large swaths of ammunition used in AR-15s would be designated as armor piercing. And if they're armor piercing, it means civilians have virtually no access to them. So this is the left's approach. We can't ban the guns, so let's ban the bullets through an abuse of our regulatory authority. That was the plan at the ATF. So thankfully, members of Congress, because of Americans like their Second Amendment rights, and they see a shady scam when they know one, when they see one, or they know a shady scam when they see one, I guess that's the way I should say it. 200 members of Congress wrote to the administration back in March of 2015 and said, look, you know, you're doing an end run around Second Amendment protections here, you better pull back. And they finally halted their efforts. But Judicial Watch wasn't going to let them get away with what they tried to do. So what we did was we sued for the records. So they gave us some records, but there were 1,900 other documents that they refused to give us. You know why they refused to give them to us? Because they pretended our initial Freedom of Information Act request was not, didn't cover the records. And so what they made us do is they made us, in order to get the records, we had to ask for them specifically and sue for them again, which we just did. Think about that. We sued them for records. They did a search. They found 84 records, which they gave to us. 1,900 records they refused to give to us. They found them in response to our FOIA request, but refused to turn them over because they said they weren't responsive to our FOIA request. So rather than negotiate a solution saying just process the records and turn them over to us, they said no, they're not responsive. So now we had to go ask for them separately. Give us the 1,900 pages that you said weren't responsive to our other FOIA requests, and we had to file a second lawsuit. We talk about Alice in Wonderland. But that's what we had to do to vindicate your right to find out what your government's up to. And the records are going to be interesting because you know, we're not asking about them simply because there's just a lot of documents. Sometimes there could be a lot of documents we don't have any interest in. But the documents include, let's see, talking points about the decision to ban them, other records discussion, discussing the ammunition reclassification. Of course, they're not going to call it a ban. They called it armor-piercing ammunition notice of proposed rulemaking. So they were going to change definitions that would lead to a ban of most of the ammo. And there were also questions and records about testimony to Congress they didn't want to give us. So this is the game they're playing. Now, we began this project 3 years ago. So this is a 3-year project that your Judicial Watch undertook. And it's frustrating. It began during the Obama administration and it continues into the Trump administration. Who's running the ATF? This is why I encourage the President, I encourage the White House, I encourage agency heads, I encourage Congress that the biggest thing that they can be doing, or a significant thing they can be doing, because the biggest thing they can be doing is eliminating these government agencies that just don't want, that are abusive and don't want you to know what they're up to, is making them be transparent. Extreme transparency on all of these issues. So you had the Obama administration try to curtail your Second Amendment rights through a ban on the ammo for your weaponry. There was pushback from the public. They pulled back, but they don't want to give us documents about their power grab that undermines your rights. And that effort, that illicit effort, is being protected from disclosure by this administration, this Justice Department, this ATF. So those are the struggles that Judicial Watch faces every day when we are in court fighting these agencies. And anyone who thought things were going to change with the Trump administration, they changed significantly in some ways. Things changed significantly here in Washington in some ways. That's why the deep state wants to take Trump out and overthrow him. But a lot of things don't change because these agencies think they, as I said, they're the deep state. They think they don't answer to the president because, generally speaking, the president wants transparency and things like this. But I'm sure his lawyers say you're not allowed to tell the agencies to release records. I mean, that's always the big fight. They don't think they answer to Congress. The ATF, for instance, is still fighting Congress, and DOJ is, over Fast and Furious records. And frankly, the Fast and Furious records they had turned over to Congress would never have been turned over but for Judicial Watch lawsuits. But the battles still continue, even during the Trump administration. So we're not going to wait for Congress to get its act together. We're not going to wait for the administration to get its act together. We're just going to go to court and try to get the records. So that's what Judicial Watch does. We're your watchdog in Washington.